about is explore a Q&A and then meditate like a Jedi. A good-hearted individual asked, please share your journey on the path to enlightenment. They wrote, I've only completed about 1,100 hours of meditation, which is far from my provisional goal of 10,000. So explore that with me for a minute. 1,100. So if you meditate twice a day, every day, in a week, that's simply 14 hours. Now, those who are prone to be rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel, whether they are just everyday, ordinary folks, or whether they fancy themselves meditation teachers, they get so excited about one technique that whether it works or not, they stick with it. And their basic idea is if a little doesn't work, a lot will. And these are the people who will say to you, it takes many lifetimes to become a Buddha. All the while disregarding what the Buddha taught in the penultimate passage in the Satipatthana Sutta. In the second to the final passage of his discourse on the four bases of mindfulness, the Buddha explained that it's possible to master his path in as little as 7 days. Let that sink in. He didn't say only for special people. He didn't say this is a one-time limited offer. He didn't say it's only for special people at a special place at a special time who have special physical attributes. He didn't say that at all. He was egalitarian to the core. And so if your method requires more than 7 years of practice, no less 7 days, then it might be time to take another look at what enlightenment is. We will explore that in a moment. So actually, let's explore that right now. So I'm going to tap the OBS button, and now I'm going to tap button 9. It's all about the Buddha's path is simply the Eightfold Path. It's super simple. How simple? It can be mastered in as little as 7 days. No rigidity. Enlightenment doesn't mean we do magic like Gandalf the Grey, although that would be cool. Enlightenment doesn't mean we stop feeling certain emotions. Enlightenment just means we've gotten so good at the Buddha's 8-piece toolkit that we practice it spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. Consider this. As children, we had to learn many skills. We had to learn to stop pooping in our diapers and use the toilet. We had to learn how to wash our hands and brush our teeth. We had to learn how to tie our shoes and ride a bike. And in the process of learning these things, no less learning an entire language, it often felt insurmountable, impossible, like it was the impossible dream. However, almost every child learns to do these things so well that they're able to practice them spontaneously, habitually, easily, and effectively. We have evolved to become skill acquisition machines. I remember in high school learning how to touch type. I flunked every test. I was trying to think my way through it as opposed to let my body learn how to do it effortlessly. Eventually, I got pretty okay at it. So when we consider the Eightfold Path, the 7th fold is mindfulness. And the eightfold is meditation. Mindfulness is not concentration, rigid and controlling. Mindfulness is vulnerable and passive and visceral and raw. Meditation is not contemplation, relying upon superstitious belief or pseudo-intellectual philosophizing. It's just relaxing in harmony with our breathing. We're just picking it up and putting it down. That's it. This is, so all we're doing, mindfulness is the product of our sympathetic nervous system in the middle of our spinal cord. Meditation is the product of our parasympathetic nervous system divided between the tippy top and the bottom basement, that same spinal cord. And so all we're doing is every 12 hours or so is cooperating with our autonomic nervous system in a deeply therapeutic manner. The fringe benefits of doing this is that we automatically practice the remaining 6 folds of the path. What are they? It means we automatically notice change whether we want to or not. We automatically notice the changing of the seasons, the waxing and the waning of the moon, the rising and the setting of the sun, the swelling and the sinking of our chest. Ever changing, one and all, there is nothing permanent to grasp. The more we cooperate with our autonomic nervous system in a manner described as mindfulness and meditation, the more we can't help but experience, but intend kindly, communicate kindly, conduct ourselves kindly, and conduct commerce kindly. It is part of our wiring. The more we concentrate, the more we actively concentrate, actively contemplate, the more we exhaust our prefrontal cortex and trigger our amygdala, the seat of anxiety and aggression. However, when we when we practice mindfulness and meditation in cooperation with our sympathetic and parasympathetic components of our autonomic nervous system, not only is the anxiety and aggression of our amygdala calmed, but the empathy latent within our anterior cingulate gyrus is gently stimulated, involuntarily, automatically. This is why the late Tulku Thondup insisted that the highest was the spontaneous and uncontrived byproduct of simply noticing and relaxing in harmony with our inhalation and our exhalation. But we have a front of our brain. Is it our enemy? No, there is a sustainable way to use the front of our brain to get genius-like results. You see, the more we play with mindfulness and meditation, the more our choices and utterances and deeds flow, not from the calculated contrivance, nor from wild scatterness, but instead from love's deeply centered spontaneity. This is known by many names, including right effort, or effortless effort, or wu wei, or going with the flow. That's the key to using the other parts of our brain in the most efficient manner. And we can do this in as little as 7 days. Let's jump back for a second. Let's do some science. Archaeologists and anthropologists agree that there's enough evidence to support the idea that for the last 300,000 years, about our Paleolithic ancestors promoted a culture that trained people to be flexible, loving, rational, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative at kind. Those same anthropologists and archaeologists have some bad news. That during the advent of proto-capitalism, during the Neolithic Revolution, human society was turned on its head and began promoting the attributes of being rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel. This is why Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks. Most of us were born in a culture that trained us to be this way. Some of us chose to evolve beyond this. The majority, 90%, think that being rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, cruel is a-okay. But in the Eightfold Path, there is no mention of karma. There is no mention of fear. There is no mention of taking an inauspicious rebirth or going to hell. 50% of the Eightfold Path pertains to loving kindness. This is why the great Karma Jigme insisted that the essence of morality was simply non-violence, or in present-day nomenclature, loving kindness. We don't need fear. We don't need promises of blessing. We don't need threats of curses. All we need is love and wisdom. Let's return to the opening questions. I'm going to tap button 8. Still, I thought it would be inspiring or interesting to hear about other people's experiences on the path. What school or practice do you follow? How long have you practiced? What were you like when you started? What did you struggle with? Has anything changed? Do you feel like you've gained some insight into the nature of enlightenment? So enlightenment is a profoundly ambiguous term. Some people would say that enlightenment means you never have cravings ever again. Some people would say enlightenment means you never believe in a self ever again. Some people would say enlightenment means that you are defined only by love. I would tell you this. Whether you look at the Eightfold Path or you look at the 7 Enlightenment Factors, mindfulness is mandatory. There's no enlightenment without mindfulness. Therefore, there is no enlightenment if we cease to perceive our impulses, our desires. The liberation Buddha offers us is not liberation from the presence, dread or desire, or delusion. It's liberation from its tyranny. The dread, desire, the delusion could still be there, but it no longer controls our choices, or our utterances, or our deeds. The most efficient, so we have a choice. Every day we have a choice. Every hour we have a choice. Do we actively compete against our autonomic nervous system, doesn't recommend it, or do we passively cooperate with it? That's the ticket. How do we do that? It's totally simple. The most efficient way to practice mindfulness is to silently and mentally recite the verb watch every time we feel our chest swell with breath. The most efficient way to practice meditation is to silently and mentally recite the verb rest every time we feel our chest subtly sink as gently we exhale. It's just that simple. Having completed our opening lesson, our opening Q&A, let us now shift gears. It is Ahsoka Tano early Thursday morning. At least it is here at 7. Welcome, friends, to meditate like a Jedi. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi. Oopsie, after about 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is the Dzogchen Sende Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I have harnessed my autistic special interests as well as my ADHD hyperfocus to spend about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that I can become your personal, nerdy, neurodivergent guide to Nirvana. Welcome, my friends, to meditate like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Okay. For those who are watching on the Tube app, if you can see my face, you can see my desktop, there's no need for the fear of missing out. In the upper left-hand corner of your screen, you'll see the essential instructions to watch, rest, in harmony with our inhalations and exhalations. The free fall of meditation can sometimes trigger our controlling tendencies. A useful workaround is to practice a variation of Bengali crease counting. To do that, we can begin by touching the tip of our left thumb to the lower set of creases upon our left little finger. Let us now place this left hand palms up in our lap. Doing so will help us to keep track of our first set of 16 inhalations. Every time we silently and mentally recite the verb watch during our inhalations, we could advance our right thumb up the creases and tips of each of its fingers, beginning with the little. Let's do this together right now. 16 inhalations. 16 inhalations. Takes a little more than a minute. Gathering one collection of 16 sets of 16 inhalations. No, I skipped a step, I'm sorry. Having run out of places upon which to rest my right thumb, it's time to advance my left thumb up to the second set of creases of its left little finger. And so now you get the basic idea of how to count 16 sets of 16 inhalations each. 16 inhalations takes about a little more than a minute. Our first collection of 16 sets of 16 inhalations takes about 20 minutes. Completing our second set, or gathering our second set of 16 sets of 16 inhalations takes about 40 minutes. Gathering our third collection of 16 sets, 16 inhalations each, takes about 60 minutes. Overwhelmed? The antidote is repetition. Come, practice with me once every 12 hours or so, and within a week or two, this path you could master. The moment you have a specific question about Buddhist or Taoist philosophy or meditation, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window, for I tend to check for questions about once every 5 minutes or so. The essence of mindfulness is to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly watch the antics of mind as it perceives, emotes, intends, reasons, recalls, and imagines. The most efficient way to practice that is to silently and mentally recite the verb watch every time we feel our chest swell with breath. The essence of meditation is to relax in such a way that which we noticed during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel less stressful, less permanent, less defining, less tangible, at least for a moment or so, until we breathe in again and the cycle begins afresh. The most efficient way to do that is to silently and mentally recite the verb rest each time we feel our chest subtly sink as gently we exhale. There is no need to label our thoughts. Trying to label our thoughts will simply trigger or indulge our rigid and controlling tendencies, which in turn will excite our amygdala and exacerbate our anxiety and aggression. Far more peaceful and loving it is to simply play with the verbs watch and rest in harmony with our cycles of breath. No, Virginia. Our job is not to rigidly, unwaveringly concentrate upon our breath. Instead, we use our breath the way a piano student uses a metronome, simply to coordinate our practice of mindfulness meditation. One of the great ironies is that by thus practicing mindfulness and meditation, we are passively cooperating with the sympathetic and the parasympathetic aspects of our autonomic nervous system in a way that multiplies love, wisdom, and the ability to effortlessly go with the flow. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 3 hours, I would very much like to return to today's second session of Q&A and meditating like a Jedi. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.